Howdy friends, happy Monday. How's everybody doing today? I'll make it through the weekend with a little bit of snow. I always tell my kids, like, it always snows at least once in April. So we're not super surprised there was snow in, near the end of March, even though it's officially spring now. They were kind of offended. They're like, but it's actually spring. Spring really started. Like, I know, but it always snows. It's just what it does. All right, so we've got, oh no, okay, we talked about this already. Good. So we got to get into file IO, so then we can talk about project 4. That's what happened, because we had to bump that a little bit, right? All right, awesome. So let me fire up IntelliJ here. Or NetBeans, either one will work for sure. This will be a little easier for the Java FX stuff when we get to it in a little bit, but both will definitely work. Yeah, we got another week, and then we'll get started with the Java FX stuff. So project 4 is going to be a little smaller, not quite as big. Dealing with file IO. Ideally, you can get it done by April 4th, so you've got the whole month for the project. If you want to take till the 11th, that's okay. It's totally up to you. It won't be due until the 11th, so we'll have some time in there when we go. So let me grab. That's the wrong window, IntelliJ. It opened up my other screen. It's weird. Come on. Where'd you go? Come on, IntelliJ. All right. Where'd it go? Okay, there we go. Oh my goodness, I'm trying to just grab it here. It won't even grab there. Will that do? No. Grab the window, please. There it goes. All right, awesome. So let's fire up a new project. There you go. So I've had more luck here with this Maven one. The straight Java one here was going crazy. So for chapter 15, we are only doing the text-based files. Grab this here and see where that goes to. Oh, there it is. All right, in the beginning of it here. So it's going to go through intro to files, working with text files. So we're going to go through, you could go through 487 ought to do it to get, we don't actually do the interfaces though. Hang on, so maybe not quite that far. Look at files and directories, files, exceptions, text files, reading. We don't need their DAO interface, data access object interface. That's not anything we'd really want to deal with right now. So let's probably stop then at 477 is probably far enough for us. I don't think, some of it's okay. I think it's more complicated than we really need though. So yeah, probably 4. Yeah, that ought to do it. Hey, this one's not bad. It's just, yeah. Yeah, I think that's more trouble than it's worth. Okay, so I'm going to do the Maven project. It seemed to work a little smoother for me here than the straight Java one. It was like failing to run completely, which was making me crazy. Let's do some file I/O here. And this is for Monday, Wednesday. Let me do this one here. No, you're in the wrong spot, that means IntelliJ. Go home, IntelliJ. No! Oh my goodness. Can you see it like flipping around, going crazy here? It's going absolutely bonkers. Okay. I think I'm almost there, friends. Almost got it. Sorry. Yeah, it's a Monday, right? Definitely need some more coffee. Got my pot going downstairs. I forgot to start it soon enough to grab a cup, though. It wasn't done yet. And I made the mistake once of like pouring it before it was all the way done. And my cup was fantastic, but the rest of the pot was gross. And I was real sad. Okay. So, we'll open up here if we're doing this Maven project. Gotta go find our Java folder. We're gonna add a new package. And then we can add a file. It's a little sad it doesn't give you that template here. You gotta find a better template. So we want a new package. Call this file IO. And inside of that, then we can add our new Java class. This will be, let's call it our shopping list program. So we'll work with building a little shopping list here. That's fine. Yeah, just add stuff to it. That is fine. You go do you, IntelliJ. All right. So we need our public static. I think that work. Okay, cool. So if you don't have the method already there, because we're doing this and it doesn't exist, if you do public static void main PSVM and then tab, it'll autofill it for you here. Or you just go copy paste from somewhere, or you type it in the hard way. You know, as long as we get a main method in here, we'll be okay. Remember, this is where Java programs start. You can't run a Java program without a main method. It'll have no idea what to do here. Oh, I picked up my mug and it's empty again. I was just saying it was empty. We know it's a Monday. It's a Monday. Okay, so when we're dealing with files, doing file input and output, now we finally have the opportunity here to put some data somewhere that is going to stay between when our program runs. So before this, the only way we're able to get data from the user is to ask them for it, and they'd have to type it in every time the program ran. Right? Because the only thing we had was that scanner for keyboard. So right, we could use our scanner for keyboard. Use a new scanner, given system.in, and sure, we could do that, and we could ask the user to enter something, but we'd have to ask them every time, and then we had no place to save that data. Like if we wanted to make this little shopping list here and say, hey, what do you want to buy? If I end the program and it loses my shopping list, it's not a very good shopping list, right? You want that to stay around long enough that you can actually, come back to it and say, hey, what was on my shopping list? So what we could do, right, we could store it in an array list of type string here. This will be my list equals a new array list. Right, we can store things in an array list here of strings. I can store my shopping list, but that only will work then if my program's running. When the program turns off, I lose this array list here. This is just keeping values around in memory. So what we want to do is we want to be able to write something to a file first. We're going to write to the file first, and then we'll go and read it. So anytime you're dealing with a file, you do three things. I just can't turn my fingers the right way. You open it, you read or write from it, and then you close it. So we're going to write to a file first. So this is for writing to a file. Now this will look super crazy, and that's okay. It is a little crazy here. Don't worry too much about it here. We're going to do this thing that is a buffered reader, and we'll call this our, I'm sorry, a buffered writer. Come on. I can remember the right thing. No, I'm sorry. I'm copying the wrong thing. A print writer here. A print writer, I'm going to call it my file output. Again, variable name here doesn't really matter much. Yeah, so we want the print writer import here. So java.io.printWriter equals a new print writer. Now here's where it gets silly. Print writer then needs a new buffered reader. Technically, the buffered reader is optional. It's just a good practice. The buffered reader wants a new file writer. Import those. Enter, import, Alt Enter, import. File writer then wants the name of the file. So we'll say this is our list.txt. So this just gets a little silly here. So you can pull that down the line. And now file writer is red. And if you hover over it, it says unhandled exception, java.io exception. We have to do something with it, right? So we need to put it in a try block. So we have to say try, just like when we were doing our number parsing here. We're going to try this, and then we're going to catch a IO exception. We'll call it EX or something like that, or exception or whatever. And if we catch it, we'll just print it back out. If a bad thing happens, right, if an exception happens, we're just going to print it out. But this will keep our program from crashing here, which is nice. Oh my goodness, buffered writer. I did it again. Buffered writer. There we go. And look at that, it changes it finally to import java.io.star. We got enough imports. It's like, import the whole thing. So a print writer needs a buffered writer. Again, sort of optional. Don't worry too much about it here, which needs a file writer, which needs the name of the file. Gets a little long here, but that's okay. So we kind of group all these things together here. Okay, so this will let us write to the file. Well, what do we want to write? Well, we probably should put some stuff in our array list here first. So let's say, how about a string for an item equals, I don't know, let's ask them here. Enter the name of an item to add to your list, or done. And then keyboard.next line. Yeah, exact same thing. So you still need a print writer, need a buffer. Oh, you mean the import here? I think NetBeans will just keep giving you more imports. I don't know if it's too particular or if it has a rule about how many it should do. And we can replace them if we want for the individual imports. It's just a style preference. Right, so we're going to say, okay, enter the name of an item here, and then we'll say while item.equals ignoring case, done, and really while not, so while it's not done, let's take my list here, and we'll add the item. Remember, with an array list, we can just add as many things as we want. We don't need to tell Java what size it is, we'll just keep on going. That works out pretty nice, and then we'll ask him again. So I feel a little bad. We have the same prompt twice, essentially. I'm not going to worry too much about it here. I'm not going to lose too much sleep over it. You know, okay, maybe a little bit here. How about we can turn this into a method, right? We could save one whole line and turn it into a method here. Should we do that? Okay, let's do that. So I'm going to cut that out here. Let's add a method, public static string, and we'll call this what prompt or ask for item name. And we need the scanner here. And we're going to turn the item. So then we can say string item equals ask for item name. Right, we'll just turn that into a method, and then we'll repeat that single line here. So we'll add the item, and then we'll ask for the item name. Then we'll add the item, we'll ask for the item name. We'll add the item, we'll ask for the item name. As long as it's not done, we'll keep adding and asking. So if we did it in the other order, we'd have to make sure that it's not done before we add it here. So that's why, like, if you ask for it first, then to make sure that if they give us that thing, I don't know, the loop will stop. Okay. Then, okay, so now we'll have a list of items here. This is just a loop, right? We just keep on going until we get this sentinel word or whatever that indicates the loop is done. You probably don't ever go buy something called done. You've never seen a done at the store before. Right? So now we have the list here in the array list in memory. Now we want to write it here. So this here opens the file. Now, what's cool about print writer and file writer here is that it will create a file if it doesn't exist. Right, that is kind of cool. Okay, then we need to write to the file. So to write to the file, let's just loop through our list here. So we're going to say for string, I don't know, item name, colon, list. So I don't want to call it item because we already have a string for item here. That just gets a little funny. So usually a different variable name is better for that. So we're going to loop through every item in the list here. And I'm going to take my file output. Now, file output, if you hit file output dot, you get a bunch of familiar looking things. They have a bunch of print line commands. Just like system.out.println, but this is going to write it to a file instead of out to the screen here. So let's print the item name. Then when we're done, we need to close the file. So file output.close. Close the file. It'll get closed when the program ends, but it's always better practice to close the file explicitly here, especially if you're going to be reading and writing from a file. You don't want to leave it open. So open it, read or write to it, and close it. Always do those three things. But now we'll have a way to save this file to a list.txt file when we're done. Now we haven't read it yet, but at least we can write it so I can come back to it later. Okay, so let's give it a run, see if it works. Excuse me. All right, what else should we do? So definitely coffee. What else should we add to our shopping list? Aside from coffee, what else do we need? Add anything to our list. It's just the list here. Should add a couple things. What do you guys always get when you go shopping? Cookies. Oh yeah, I like it. Cookies. Yep. We got a pack of cookies. I forget the company name now. It's like a smallish bake shop. They do all natural kind of cookies. We got them from Costco. Eggs. Yeah, definitely eggs. We go through a lot of eggs. If we make eggs for the family, we're using like more than a dozen. Only one egg? Yeah, I mean, sure. Yeah. Okay, that's probably a good list for now. We'll say done. So now you'll see in the viewer here, now in NetBeans, you won't see it in the project view, but remember there's a tab, there's project, files, and services. If you go to the file tab in NetBeans, you can see it there. IntelliJ will just show it to us here, which is kind of nice. I can double click it and open it, and I'll see coffee, cookies, eggs, and a fourth line that's blank. Because remember, when you use print line, it adds the new line character at the end here. So I have an empty line, which is, it's okay. It's not ideal, but that's all right. Okay, so we've written to the file. Should we ask them, do they want to read or write the file? Or you know, let's go read it here after the fact, just for fun. So let's go try that. So we're going to see if we can now read the file. Now, reading the file is just a little bit different here. So when you read a file, you want to make sure that the file actually exists first. So to do that, you use this thing called the file class. So we'll call this the file. We'll say this is a file equals a new file. And we'll say, what's the name of the file? List.txt. So this is the file class here from java.io. And then we can say, hey, if file.exists here. So exists means, yes, there is a file. Because you can put anything you want here for a file. It might not exist. Right? You might not have a file with that name here. So if it exists, then we can try and catch an IO exception, and print out the exception. Sure. So what do we want to try? So we're going to do one of these crazy chained things. So this one we need a buffered reader. We'll call this an input file equals a new buffered reader. Buffered reader then wants a file reader. A new file reader. And file reader wants the file itself. This one's not quite as long because we did the new file thing up here. Some people will do the new file thing inside of here, or the book will do that sometimes. I always like using the if exists here. This is almost always nicer here, just in case something weird happened and the file doesn't exist, or you typoed it or something. You would get the exception if the file doesn't exist, and that's okay, but this is probably a little cleaner here. If you can avoid doing the exception, you're better off. Okay? Then, so this opens the file for reading. Okay? Then we're actually going to read the file. And then when we're done, we're going to close the file. I can smell the coffee downstairs. My mouth is like watering thinking about it. Input file.close. So what do we do to read the file? Now this gets a little funny here. So input file here has some methods. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to say, hey, the line is my input file.readLine. So read line will read the entire line. You do have a couple options here with the things you can read. Don't recommend you use anything other than read line. Read line is probably your best bet here. It will just make life easiest. It'll just read the entire line, save it in as line. Now, we have no idea how many lines are actually in this file here at all. So what we're going to do, we're going to say while my line does not equal null. Not equal. So if it reads a line and there is nothing left to read, it'll give you null back. So that's how you know you reached the end of the file. Right? So the end of the file, line becomes null. So yeah, it's a little funny here, but that's okay. So we're going to say, okay, while it's not null, let's keep on going here. Actually, let me put that there, sorry. That's better. What we're going to do is, let's just, for now, we're just going to print out the line. That's not very interesting here. We're just going to print it out. And then we'll say line equals input file.read line. Right, read the next line. If that line is not null, there was something to read, we'll just print it out to the screen, and then try the next one. Print it out to the screen, try the next one, print it out to the screen, try the next one. So it's not going to do anything interesting. We're just going to read the file here, right? See if we can spit all those contents back out. Let's give it a shot. And now we're going to notice a bad thing about FileWriter here in a second. FileWriter, by default, here will overwrite your files. Maybe it's PrintWriter. PrintWriter will overwrite any existing file. So what that means is now list here is empty. If I try and open up list again, not yet. Okay, as soon as I close the file, I think. Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm still here. I'm still at this loop. That's why it hasn't done it yet. So if we just say copy, and then we say cookies, and then we say done. Now my list file has coffee and cookies. I lost my eggs because we overwrote the file. So that's a little bit tricky here. Okay, but then we were able to read it okay, right? We went and read it, coffee, cookies. Now, we also got that blank line, though, too, which is, it's a little bit funny here. We probably don't want that blank line. So we can check. We can say, hey, if line dot is empty, maybe is blank. If not is blank, then we can go do this thing here. Because that'll avoid the last blank line here. But this, if we're not blank, go do this thing here. So we'll try it one more time. We want to get coffee and cookies out. Maybe we'll put eggs back in. And we should be able to get all three of them out without the extra new line here. Because we don't want to put that into our shopping list. So coffee and cookies and eggs, and done. There we go. Now we get coffee, cookie, and eggs. Oh, we still have a blank line here. Maybe it's not empty. Maybe it says empty. Let me try that one more time. Maybe is blank was wrong. There's like a subtle difference between the two, and I can never remember which one is which. True if length is 0. Okay, sure. So coffee and cookies and eggs and done. No, we're still getting it. Why are we still getting it? Where else am I printing? The line is not empty. Print the line. Print line is putting it down one. That's what's happening. Terrible practice for career applications. So what you want to do so sometimes you do want to overwrite. I mean, so like if you're just replacing a file here with your current shopping list, great. There's nothing wrong with it here. If you want to open the file and then add to it, there's an option called Append Mode. To get Append Mode, you here with your file writer, you give it a name and then you give it true. And that is Append Mode here. By default, Append Mode is off. You can put Append Mode on with the file writer. So I'm going to just drop that in here with a comment for that. So you can add a true argument to file writer for Append Mode. And Append Mode then will open it and start writing stuff at the end of the file. So it's not going to erase anything. Now we can actually get around this though. Because what we can do instead here, we can read it first here. So I'm going to cut all this out. I'm going to go read the file first. Let's go here. And instead of just printing it here, I want to add the items to my list here. I'm going to say list.add the line. So it's going to add it to our shopping list here. And then we'll close the file, and then we'll tell them, we'll say for, wait, where do we have that right here? We'll say system.out.println. Here's the item. So we're going to display current list on screen. So we'll go read it first, and then we'll display it here, and then we'll ask if there's anything else you want to add. Right? And then when we write it here, because we added the existing items to this list here, we're going to rewrite everything back on top. Right? So we're going to read it all out, store it in the list, show you what's in the list, let you add to the list, and then we're going to write the entire list back to the file. Let's give it a try here. Should probably tell them this was the existing list. Here's what's on your list right now. Okay, good. Yeah. So we're skipping that blank line. Good. We'll say, here's what's on your list now. Okay, what else do you want to add? Do you want to add anything to our list? Coffee, cookies, and eggs? How about we add some milk then? And then we'll say done. So now our file then gets overwritten, but what it's overwritten with is the entire list, because we read coffee, cookies, and eggs originally, then we went and added milk to it. So we don't even really need to use that append mode here. Right, so then we can, ask them, do you want to add or remove anything? Right, you can even remove items from a list if we wanted. Hey, let's let them add a bunch of things, and then should we ask if they want to remove anything? We can do that, right? Should we ask if they want to remove anything first? Say, okay, do you want to remove? I don't know, how about this? We'll say enter the name of an item to remove, or done. And then, okay, this ask for item name, it's currently saying to add to the list or done. So the only thing different we want to do between add and remove is one word here. So how about we have a string for the action. And then we'll add the action, and then we'll add to your list. So we can tell it, hey, add, enter the name of an item to add to your list, or remove, enter the name of an item to remove from your list to your list. Okay, we'll take out the word to. Add to, remove from. Okay, so every time we're going to call this here then, this is add to. This is add to. And then we can use that same thing here. We can say remove, nope, don't cut it out. Remove from, and while not item equals ignoring case done, we're going to remove the item. We're going to take our list that we can call remove the item, and then we can ask for another item. Right, so the array list lets you remove things. It's super cool. You can say, hey, remove this item. Remember, and then it will shrink itself back down. So we can remove anything we want, and then we can go add anything we want here. Then we can go write it to the file. Give it a little format here. Oops, too many lines. Okay, should we try it? Let's try it here. It's thinking hard. Let's try it. Oh, my mug is empty again. Keeps getting me. All right, so we have coffee, cookies, eggs, and milk. And then we have an item to remove. Okay, let's say we bought eggs. Let's remove eggs here. And then we'll say done. And then do we want to add anything? Yeah, we can definitely chat after class. If we want to add anything to the list, how about we add, how about cream? And then we'll say done. So then what's in the list now is coffee, cookies, milk, and cream. Right, eggs was removed from our list here. Okay, so we can add to, remove from using the array list, and then we can still read and write that array list. Okay, one other thing we want to do here is we should ask them for the name of their shopping list. So you don't always want to call it list.txt, or sometimes you might have a Target list, and you might have a Meijer list, or you might have a Kroger list, and you want to keep all these things separate because you like to buy different things at different stores, right? So we should ask them, hey, what's the name of the list that you, what's the name of the shopping list that you want, right? So, okay, I guess I need the scanner keyboard in here again. So scanner keyboard, so we have scanner given system.in. Okay, and we'll say enter name of your shopping list file, and then we'll get a string for file name is whatever they type in. So now I can use file name here instead of just a hard-coded string for list. I can say, okay, give me the file name, and same thing for writing, give me the file name here. Okay, so if the file doesn't exist, we're not reading anything, right? And there's nothing on the list to start. So let's give it a try. So I should be able to say, hey, this is my Meyer list, or this is my Target list, or this is my Costco list, right? And put all those things in. So enter the name of the list. So we'll call this the Meyer list.txt. Now, not all the users are going to add a .txt, and that's okay. Adding the .txt tells your computer, like, hey, it's a text file. I know what to do with it. When I double click it, it'll open right. File extensions are technically optional. They're just nice to have. All right, so here's what's on your list. Nothing. Anything we want to remove from the list? Nothing. So done. What do you want to add to the list? All right, so for Meyer, we're going to buy coffee, we're going to buy eggs and milk, and then done. And now I'll have a Meyer list.txt. Right, and then if I run it again, I can go give it the Meyer list to start, and it should go read eggs, milk, or coffee, eggs, and milk. Right, if I give it a different name, it's just going to make a new file for me. So this is the Meyer list.txt. Here's what's on the list. Enter the name of an item to remove. All right, we bought eggs. Done removing things. Let's go add cream. And done. And now we have coffee, milk, and cream in the Meyer list. And we have coffee, cookies, milk, and cream in our regular list. Right, so that string for the file name can be a variable as well. It doesn't have to always be a hard-coded, hey, this is list.txt. Now, sometimes you want that, and other times you don't. Just depends on what you're doing here. Okay, so I think we're good for a break. I gotta go grab my coffee anyway here, and when we come back in 10 minutes, okay? We'll put some music on, and we'll go from there. Go get yourself some coffee, friends. We'll be back at 10:56. Howdy folks, welcome on back. Hope you got your coffee. Oh yeah, it's a good pot. Good. Oh, supposed to slide the music down. Okay, all right. So we're working on our shopping list. We're able to add to it by essentially reading it first and then writing it. Now, what we want to do here is we want to be able to kind of make a slightly more interesting program, right? This is just a single line here, right, where just one thing goes on at a time. It'd be nice if we could have some additional pieces of information there, right? So what we want to do is we want to make essentially a class that we can write to the file here. So let me go and add a new class here, and we'll call this our item class. And then item will have a private string for name. And how about a private, how about just an int for quantity, right? So how many of the thing are we going to buy? Okay, and then let's go add some methods here, right? I don't want to type them by hand, so I'm going to do the generate, or you can do the insert code in NetBeans. We'll add a constructor that takes a name and a quantity. Cool, so if you know the name and quantity, we'll take it, and then we'll add getters and setters here. We'll generate some code for getters and setters. And now we have get name, set name, get quantity, set quantity. All right, that's all looking pretty good so far. And then I'm going to add one more method here, which is just, yeah, let's do one more here. So let's get a public string get. We'll say this is for file line, or how about get line for file. And what we're going to do, we're going to return a single line here. So we're going to return name plus, and I'm a fan of this pipe character here, plus quantity. So this pipe character, that's the shift backslash, is used rarely. So it makes a pretty good delimiter here. Sometimes there are commas in names. So comma is not the best delimiter here. But saying I'm going to put a name and a quantity separated by a pipe here makes it kind of easy here to know what doesn't belong, right? The pipe is a very weird character. You don't often see that one. Okay, so we're going to do that. So we're going to use that here then. So let me actually, let me make a new file here. Let me try that. So let's do a new Java class. We'll call this our shopping list program with classes. Okay. I want to leave this one as is here, and then I want to show you how we can do it with classes. Does that sound okay? So I'm just going to copy paste all that in. So it's the old version, and we're going to start changing here to use our item class. Okay? So now we also need to capture the quantity for things here. So that's a little bit unfortunate, right? This is the name of an item we can't really use this for add and remove, because if we're removing something, we don't care what the quantity was here. Or maybe we'll just use it anyway. Maybe we'll say, hey, how about, that's fine. We'll just use it anyway. We'll say enter the quantity, and then we'll have an int for quantity is integer.parseInt of the keyboard.next line, keyboard.next line, and then we can make an item equals a new item, given the name and the quantity. Oh, I'm sorry, this is item and quantity. We should rename this thing to name here. So I'm going to call this one name instead of item, given the name and quantity. And then instead of returning a string, we're going to return an item, right? The instance of our item class here. Because now I can package up, right? I can encapsulate all the details of item, which is name and quantity here, into one nice little package here. Okay, so then I have the item class ready to go here. And then when we start, so our array list here needs to be of type item, not type string. So I'd say, hey, I want an array list of items, not an array list of strings, because I want to capture the name and quantity together. So I can't just add the item here. So what I need to do is I need to get the name and I need to get the quantity. Okay, so there's I don't know if we've seen this yet here, but once we have a line, there's a really cool thing that will take it and turn it into a string array, we'll call the parts. You say line.split. So split says, hey, give me the character that you want me to split on. And I can say, hey, here's my pipe character. Split. Now notice it turned orange. This is actually a weird, it's use special, so you need to escape it. I had to Google this for the Tuesday night class, so this is don't expect you to have to memorize any of this. Usually you can just like say, hey, split on, say, like the semicolon character, and it'd be fine with that. Maybe I should have used semicolons, but for a pipe you have to do this silly thing here. I Googled it last time, but don't worry about it here. Okay, and then I can have a string for name is my parts index of 0, is it's everything, so it'll split it into an array. Based on every time there's a pipe, it'll add another piece to that array. So then I'll have an int for quantity is integer.parseInt of parts of 1. Quantity. And then I can make an item equals a new item, given the name and quantity. And then I can take my list and I can add the item. And I can go get the next line. So we're going to split that on this special character here, and then grab the two parts, the name and the quantity, split it up, and put it in here. Right, and then for string item, this is now item in the list, we want to print item.getName plus, or maybe the quantity first, right? So item.getQuantity of plus item.getName. Right, so like 7 of coffee, I don't know, or we just append them together here. We probably need a space between them though, don't we? It's like 7 coffee, sure. I mean, it's not gonna be the prettiest list, but it's okay. It'll be all right. Right, and then we need a string for item name, and then as long as the item name does not equal done. Now we can't just remove an item name. Okay, so this is gonna be a little funny here. Removing an item's not going to work. Shoot, I forgot. It's not going to work for us here. So we need the item name, and we can't just call remove here because this doesn't work, unfortunately. So what we need to do is we need to loop through it. So for lots of reasons, I'm sorry, this removing won't work very well with item class instances. You have to do it the hard way. Okay, so then this is still going to be an item though, so this will be an item, there we go. Ask for item name, remove from, okay. And while item name dot get name dot equals ignore case done. Right. No. Item. So the item get name. So as long as the name of the item is not done, then I need to go and find it in the list here. So we're going to say for index 0, index is less than my my list dot size index plus plus. So I need to say, hey, if the list dot get the index dot get name dot equals, oh my goodness, ignoring case, the item dot get name here. So we're going to compare the current item in the list loop with the item to remove. Right, so we're going to get the list at index, their name, if it equals the item, here this should be item to remove, right? So let me rename this one. This is item, rename code occurrences, item to remove here. There we go, that's a little bit nicer. So if the item to remove, right, if the name is not done, then go get the current item that we're looping through. If it is there, then I can say, hey, take my list and I want to remove a given index. I want to remove the index here. Okay. Now I also want to break here. This is ugly. Removing things. Flipping through. This is weird. So if we remove it here, all of a sudden now our size should be lower, and it might do some weird things here. So we probably want to just break our loop here. It might work here with list size. Well, we'll see. Maybe it'll be fine. But we just can't call remove here. And then we'll get another item to remove when we're done. You know, maybe it'll work without it. We'll try without it here. If it breaks, we'll come back to that. So here's our note for this. So the hard way is looking through every item ourselves and saying, hey, does the name match, to remove it here? Because the, contains isn't going to work with items. That's all. Removing with dot remove item to remove won't work for lots of reasons. We don't really get into it later. I'm sorry. The next class we'll get into more of that, or data structures we'll get into more of that. Just for now, it just know it won't work. Okay, and then oh, this is just item here. So this is item to add. Is ask for an item here. So this is a item to add. Well, the item to add dot get name does not equal done. We'll add the item. We'll ask for a new item to add. We can still add items here. Okay, and then instead of now taking each item name, we want the, this is a type of item. We'll call it item in our list. We're going to print item dot get line for the file. That getting line for the file will give me that nice pipe delimited output here. All right, so there's a bunch of changes here. It should auto kind of work here now. What is this? That's fine. Hey, now, Prof, how you doing today? Good to see you. Hope the pandemic's treating you well. My friends, not Prof is an amazing math professor extraordinaire. Do you still stream your classes, or did you get back to doing normal things? It was just fantastic. So thanks for dropping on by. Let's see if we can now write this using our item class, so we can capture name and quantity. Oh, very cool. All right, the name of our file then. So let's call this a list with quantity.txt. Yeah, I still don't like Zoom, so going with Twitch for fun. All right, so there's nothing in the list. We don't want to remove anything, so we're done. Enter the quantity again. The quantity doesn't really matter. It just was too lazy to change this here. All right, enter the name of an item to add to our list here. So let's add coffee. And how much coffee should we buy? Let's buy like a dozen coffees. All right, what else should we add to the list? We should add, we wanted eggs. How about a dozen eggs? And then we're going to add some milk. Oh, goodness, my computer's freaking out. Where'd it go? There we go, some milk. And let's just buy like 2 gallons of milk here. And we'll say done. And the quantity, again, doesn't matter. We should probably fix that, but that's okay. And now we have a list with quantity here. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We're writing the wrong thing here. Done, 1. Okay, we did a bad thing here. What do we do here? Name is the keyboard next line. Quantity is the quantity. It shouldn't have been done. So what do we do? So we must have written the wrong thing here. Oh, yeah. Okay, so we named the item. That's reading it. It says on the writing the file here. Let's write the file. It said for item in list dot. Oh, we've been adding the item to remove. We're going to add the item to add. That is a bad copy paste. Bad copy paste. So let me go delete that list with quantity, because that's totally bad here. We don't want that one anymore. Let's try it one more time. Yeah, with 6 kids, we go through a lot of eggs and milk, and I go through a lot of coffee. My wife and I do. All right, so let's try this again. So this is our list with quantity.txt. There's nothing to remove, so we'll say done. Quantity doesn't matter. Okay, name that we want to add here. So coffee. Again, a dozen of them. Let's do eggs. We'll do a dozen eggs, and then we'll do milk. And we'll say 2 milk, and then we'll say done. Yeah, the quantity doesn't matter. We'll have to fix it up later. And now I see coffee 12, eggs 12, milk 2. All right, so now we need to see if we can read it again. So let's run it and give it the same list with quantity and see if it reads it okay, and then if we can modify it here. So maybe we'll try and take out one of those items and see if that's working for us here. Okay, so this is list with quantity.txt. Here's what's on the list. All right, what do we want to remove from the list? We want to remove, how about we remove eggs, and sure 1, and then done, and then the quantity doesn't matter. Okay, what do we want to add? So let's add some creamer, and let's add 1 cream. We'll say done. Quantity doesn't matter for done. And let's see if our list now has, we have coffee, we have milk, and we have cream. We were able to get rid of eggs successfully. Look at that. It's working. All right, so we have 2 different versions, right? One that uses the class and one that uses just a string. Right? So the class is obviously much more interesting, has a lot more going on here, and that's what we're going to kind of roll with for our next project. Okay? So let's do our next project. Oh goodness. So let's go to assignments here. There we go. Let's make a new assignment. This is project 4. File IO. So this I said I'll be doing 2 weeks, right? Hopefully you can get it done in a week, but if you need the extra time, go for it. 10 a.m. and then I'll add some points here. 12 eggs minus 1. Yeah, the remove, we were just removing the entire item. We didn't like update the quantity. Felt a little bad about that, but it's okay. It gets the job done. And a second, let me go and see. Did one thing over here I wanted to go look at. Yeah. And leave it to the math teacher to point out my math errors there. Grab this one. And sorry, I'm almost there. I want to make sure I'm doing the right thing. All right. So we're going to have a little fun here with a little movie theater management here. Yeah, quirky interpretation, that's right. Not a bug, it's doing exactly what we told it to. And we're going to say this one's 20 points total here. And I'll add a rubric here in just a minute for you. So we're going to be able to sell tickets to shows here. So the idea is we want to have 3 different options that are happening. So option number 1 says we want to manage the show that we're selling tickets for. So we're going to create a file with the show name being the name of the file, and then whatever number of tickets they want to sell for that show. So we'll say, hey, I'm going to show, I don't even know what movies are coming out anymore. Last time it was like The Matrix was new, and now I don't, if anything's fun, like I want to sell 20 tickets for that. We'll create the file with a list of tickets and the purchaser's name and a random verification code. So a ticket has the name, the seat number, or ticket number, right? Ticket number, seat number, same thing, the purchaser's name, and a random verification code. We're going to use a ticket class, right, to store those things. So if I don't know the purchaser's name, it should be just an empty string. If I don't know the random code, it should be 0. Okay? So that will create the file for each show that we want to sell tickets for option 1. Then for option 2, we can sell tickets to a show that they specify. So say, hey, I want to buy a ticket to Matrix. We'll go and read the file for the show specified, loading tickets into our array list. We'll ask user to enter the desired ticket number and their name. If the ticket isn't sold, right, has the blank as a name or 0 as the code, we'll add their name, generate a random number, 100,000 and 199,000, and allow them to pick a different seat if the one they wanted was already sold. So, hey, I want seat number 2. My name's Eric. Oh, I'm sorry, Eric. Seat number 2 is taken. Pick another seat. How about seat number 3? How about seat number 4? Whatever. Sure. Once it is, give me that random confirmation code and say, okay, here's your confirmation code. You bought the ticket. That's option 2. So we sell the seats, right? So we have to loop through looking at the tickets in the array list. By ticket number is probably the easiest bet here, right? Just loop through until you find that number. Or if you know you already have like 15 tickets here, you can use indexes, right? Say, hey, give me the 14th index will be the 15th seat or something like that. You got a couple options for however you want to tackle that. And then for option 3, just print a report for a given show, which prints all the tickets, seat number, purchaser name, and random confirmation code. So like, okay, we're ready now. We want to seat people for the matrix, print out the list. Who's supposed to show up? What's their name? What's their confirmation code for what seat number? So I can get them seated here. Okay, and then self-assessment using the rubric here. So we'll do a couple things with our rubric. Let me go add a rubric. This is for project 4. Either it's done or it's missing. And feel free to give yourself partial points here if like you think you got part of it done. Definitely open to that when you do your self-assessment. So 5 points for having a ticket class with private attributes and public methods. Right? Then this is our manage show option to create new files. 5 points there. Our sell ticket option to update files, right? So, hey, I can buy a ticket, I get my confirmation code, I put their name in the file and rewrite it here, and then display show report, display all tickets, names, and codes for a show. Okay, there's the 20 points there. So hopefully it won't be too bad, right? As we were working with that item class, we're going to do a similar thing with the ticket class, right? We need a way to get all of the information out into strings. We can write it to the file. We need to be able to read it back in, populate that array list of tickets, and go from there. All right, so here's the GitHub Classroom link to create your repository. Also include that self-assessment, please, right? Score yourself, right? Look at the rubric and tell me how you did. This is super important here. Okay? So that's what we're going to work on. That sound like a good plan? All right. Awesome. Oh, I forgot to put it in the right category. Let me edit that. It needs the category and the correct submission type. D2L just doesn't know my defaults here. So this is a project category with text submission. There we go. All right, there we go. Did you want to do a lab on file IO stuff, or are we okay with it so far? Oh, lab 11 was array lists, right? This was array lists. Yeah, array list. Excuse me. So I figure if we just skip the lab and go right to the project, it'll save you a little bit of time there. If you're not sure about it, if you're fuzzy on it, that's okay. Let me know. I'm happy to work some more examples or show you some more stuff about it. But I think we're in pretty good shape. How you folks feeling so far? So we're hitting the tail end of the class here. We've got file IOs. I don't think we're actually going to do much in the exception chapter. There's not. We covered most of it actually earlier on here when we did this basic handling exceptions. I think we'll be okay skipping most of 16. We might talk about a couple things, but I think we'll be okay. And then next week we'll pick up Java FX. That's the last topic here from chapter 17 in the text. And then I've got additional supplemental cool stuff we can do with Java FX for a week or two. We'll have the last week for sure, probably most of this week too, dedicated to the final project work time. Yeah, we'll do more file examples on Wednesday. Yep, we can do some more file IO stuff Wednesday. Yeah, we can rewatch it for sure. Get yourself some coffee, watch it again. Come on Wednesday, come up with questions. Don't forget study group. Mr. Tim is always happy to give more examples and work with you folks and answer questions. Super awesome resource there. So study group Tuesday, 5 to 6 p.m. Study group Wednesday, 12 to 1. And we can go from there. Hey, frequency 963. Probably. Depends where you go work and the organization. Developers can make pretty decent money. especially depending on your area. You know, usually you get paid more where the cost of living is a lot higher as an entry-level developer, but you know, it depends what you want to do. Yeah, Java and Python are fantastic, though. Definitely very popular languages still. That being said, I'm not the one who's going to hire you, so you know your mileage might vary, but no, just go take a look. Like the site Glassdoor, I think is still a pretty popular site. You can look up jobs and companies and that sort of thing. Oh, I just want to look at salaries. I don't want to log in. I really have to log in. They used to be able to do this for free without having to log in here. Start using Glassdoor. No, I don't want to. Okay, that's fine. They try and make you give your info first, but that's fine. I think we can just Google salary range. Range at Microsoft. Sure. Right. Levels.fyi, is that what this is? Sure. This looks like a pretty fine website. Okay, software engineer at Microsoft? Sure. Data scientist, product designer, product manager, you know, depending on what you want to do here. But software engineer. For entry level here. Not a bad base salary. Yeah, Glassdoor's pretty, I mean, there's probably I'm sure lots of companies or sites will do this sort of thing here. I don't know what this 5960 numbers thing is. That's confusing to me. Yeah, so years of experience, years at the company, right? Compensation. So lots of cool options here. And again, there's kind of a bigger company out that direction. So let's see. Also, what other company do you want to look at? Maybe someone who's not quite so big. How about like Epic Systems? So Epic does electronic medical records here. So software developer entry level. I feel like that's a little high, but what do I know? What do I know? This is what the site's telling me here, right? So this is like people have reported here what their income is. So full stack software developer, Madison, Wisconsin, 95. Full stack, Madison, Wisconsin, 183. You used to work for Epic, really? I've got actually my brother's buddy. He's sort of a friend of mine too, but he was my brother's friend first. Works over at Epic. Yeah, they do some cool stuff there for sure. So I mean, check anything out. It always pays to go and research the company that you're interested in, see what typical salaries are and things, so you know how to deal with HR and offers and nonsense and stuff like that. So like even so like General Motors out by us here is picking up their software engineering pretty good. Now their starting base is not as high, but cost of living is generally not as high here as it is you know, out in the West Coast. So do take that with a grain of salt. And then as you can see, you can actually work your way up and you make a decent living here. You know, entry level right out of school, that's not too shabby here. Epic, I think, is only in Madison, Wisconsin. Or yeah, Verona, Wisconsin. Yeah, but they have hospitals who use their software everywhere. So lots of different things here for sure to take a look at. So I know if you want to stay local or if you are interested in like building actual products or working on actual products rather than other sorts of things, yeah, it definitely depends on, you know, what you're looking for. So Ford here as a software engineer, right there, entry level front end. That's Canada here. Here like Detroit. Detroit. There we go. So full stack, all these different entry level here. For 81K, looks like, entry level, is what the posting is here. A distributed systems, back-end engineer, full stack engineer, full stack SG, why do they have all these letters and numbers? Makes no sense to me, but that's okay. It's not what I do, so. Yeah, but go research it for sure. People are more likely nowadays to share their salary information, especially on sites like this. So it's generally more public knowledge. And you can go from there. All right, folks. If you got anything else, let me know. If not, we'll call it a day. I'll go commit all this stuff to GitHub here before I forget, because I don't want to forget that. Let's do GitHub. Yeah, they're all internal classification. Their HR system is weird. Numbers and letters and whatnot. Angeline, I'm not sure who you're talking to. I'm sorry. Or Angel, Angel. I can't. I don't know how to say your name. I'm sorry. I'll practice it. Oh, for full stack. The other for frequency. Angelina. Okay. Angelina Ash. Okay. I gotcha. This is file IO. Commit and push that. All right. Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, if you guys got anything else, let me know. If not, I'll talk to you later. Don't forget study group Tuesday, 5 to 6. Wednesday, 12 to 1. We'll have class. We'll do some more examples with files on Wednesday, and we can go from there. And SP Java, I'll hop on the Zoom link after if you want to chat. All right. Take care, everybody. I will see you around.